Hi everyone, it's Mike from the Canadian Bowler here, and welcome to the first episode of Bowls, Bowls, Bowls. Bowls, Bowls, Bowls is going to be the Canadian bowlers' take on all the different bowling companies and what they have to offer. We're going to do an in-depth look on each different company, talk about their new models, their new colors, and kind of give you a guide of what each company does. Our first episode here, my first episode here, is going to be covering a new company that I found online. So one of my ways of dealing with the long Canadian winters is I search through the different companies at the beginning of each year to see what their new colors, new models, anything they might be offering is. When I was looking this year, I saw a new company that I'd never seen before called Bias Bowls. Bias Bowls is a company that was founded roughly 2 years ago by Paul Hubert in England. Bias Bowls are heavily inspired by race cars, so the bowls are painted with race car logos, numbers, and when they roll, they kind of actually look like a tire on a race car. So through my looking online, I was able to get a hold of the founder of Bias Bowls, Paul Hubert, through their website. And through some conversations that we had, he was actually quite willing to meet and discuss the company and where it started, everything like that. So we've arranged for Paul to be here today. We've got an interview with Paul here, and without any further ado, we'll get to it. Enjoy. Hey everyone. We're here today joined by a very special guest, Paul Hubert from Bias Bowls. Thanks for joining us, Paul.
More than welcome.
So for anyone that may not know who Paul is, he is the founder of Bias Bowls Lawn Bowl Company. So we're excited to talk with Paul today just about his company, sort of the idea, everything that brought them together. So one of the first things we like to do when we bring a guest on the show is we just like to let them introduce themselves, sort of talk about who they are, how they got into bowls. So the floor is yours, Paul.
Yeah, fine. Thanks, Michael. Thanks for the introduction. Bowls has been something that's been very passionate of mine for the last 4 or 5 years when I first took it up. I played a multitude of sports: football, golf, athletics, you name it. I probably played it at some time. And bowls was one of the sports that has been off the list. For some reason, it had in my mind that it's something you waited till you retire, then you play bowls. A big mistake. I'm sure you guys will agree. When I see the guys I'm playing with now, the under 25 circuit and all the comradeship they have, it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But it was 4 or 5 years ago that I was passing a little village green, and I thought, I've finished work early today. I'm going to just knock on the door and see what this is all about, see if I can have a game of bowls. Very pleasantly surprised, welcomed, with open arms. Yes, we've got some bowls, have a go, try it. And I think playing a lot of sport helped me with general eye to ball coordination, tempo, pace, etc. That I took to it really quite quickly. And then I wanted to go the next day, and then I wanted to go the day after, and I didn't want to then play 7 days a week. I joined the club, and the rest is history about how I started playing bowls. Once hooked, that's there for life now. So that's good. I was working at the time. I've been in the hair and beauty industry all my life, as you can tell from my golden locks. But that was coming to a close. I was coming to the point where I thought I would be retiring and playing bowls. But so I had this experience of bowls for about 4 years before this time. So when I finished work, the reality of getting people to play bowls with you every day is not as easy because they're all working. So who am I going to play with? There was a few guys around, but not everyone I wanted to play with, especially enjoying probably the bowls more with the competitive guys who tend to be a bit younger. Then I was getting a bit bored during the day, and I thought, perhaps I've finished work a bit too early. And I thought, I can't go back to where I've been. I've said my goodbyes there. So I was talking to a good friend of mine called Scott Cranfield. He actually presented Sky Sports Golf. So I'm thinking he might have seen Sky Sports coverage of golf. It's very good. And Scott's a good friend of mine. And we were talking one day about different things, what we could do. And he said, Paul, why don't you just get involved with bowls? And I said, well, I'm too old to go and make money at bowls, on the circuit as such. But you have got something there, Scott. I'm going to think about what I could do. And eventually just become, quite obvious. A brand had to be created, especially when I looked at what was on the marketplace, dominated by 4 large brands, all with their own little identities, little quirks. But I could see something new developing, and the first thing I needed to find out is, was this possible? Because as we know, that bowls have to be stamped by the World Bowls Organisation, so we have to have a reputable manufacturer. It was something I wasn't going to go into manufacturing because I knew nothing about that side of it. So I looked at who could be my contract manufacturer. Obviously, 2 are in Australia, Aero and Henselite, 2 are in the UK with Taylor's and Drake's Pride. And my heritage is from Scotland as well. My mother's Scottish, so I thought it would be lovely if I could go to Taylor's and talk to them. But more importantly, I had to look at the 4 manufacturers first of all and choose what I thought would be the right one. So as you know, Taylor's been established since 1796, the oldest manufacturer of lawn bowls. I played with Taylor bowls. I knew how good they were. And it was really a matter of going to talk to them, see if that was something they could do. Because at the end of the day, 1796, and they're a family business still to this day, were they going to welcome someone new on the block who 4 years experience of playing bowls is not like I'm coming as a world champion or anything like that. I'm just coming with my background in business, but also my love for bowls. And I think what came across was my love for bowls more than anything else. They thought with the enthusiasm you had, you surely must have something. And if, you're going to certainly give it 100% effort to try and get another bowls brand off and running. Obviously, we had to talk about, would they be prepared to manufacture another bowl? Because at the end of the day, this was going to be a competitor of Taylor's. But what we, eventually when we looked at the whole thing, it seemed like a perfect idea to do something. And I had to include them as well as a partner. I say had to, I wanted to. So I asked them, would they be prepared to come in as a partnership? So they have a shareholding as well. And it's just worked out, one of those beautiful marriages. So the bowls manufacturer meets the bowls nut. And can we create something together? But it had to be something different. We couldn't just go and create a new bowl and copy another bowl. It had to be something different, a different look. So our brand is quite unique. We've gone along this racing line, car theme. Our motto is driving the future of bowls. So everything we've done around that is to have a strong presence and a strong guide of where we were going to go with this brand. And it was very important that we had the right people come on. So we don't have meet the team, we have meet the drivers, which is all coming up on the website in the next few weeks. You'll see the 4 guys that we have at the moment, all international bowlers, senior and junior. And I think, Michael, you might have played with one of the guys, Ed Morris, back in the day. I think you had a trip to Hong Kong. Yep. So you've met Ed Morris. He's part of the team. I can expand into the team if you want to, but first of all, I think we should look at Buyers Bowls. That's how it was created. It was a passion for bowls. It was making sure we had the right manufacturer. If you look at Taylor's, the pedigree they have there on their website, it's about service and innovation. Well, in fact, it says service, innovation. So that's what they're into. And I thought, well, if they've got that on their website and that's what they're about, they're going to love working with me. By coming in, investing into the new company as well, research and development can be then increased by Taylor's because it's more money coming into the company. And we're really passionate from the outside of bowls about what we think can be done with certain trajectories, etc. So I think sometimes being outside of bowls, coming to someone that's been in it for hundreds of years, a fresh look is quite interesting for them sometimes.
So, Paul, hearing your story is awesome. I'll be honest, I was shocked when you said you've only been playing for 4 or 5 years. Usually when you hear someone playing for 4 or 5 years, they're just kind of dipping their feet into bowls, maybe seeing some competition and whatever. It looks like you went from start to like completely past everybody else in that short amount of time.
Sure.
So one of my questions you kind of touched on is the uniqueness of your bulls compared to other bulls and even Taylor bulls who you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about racing. I'll be perfectly honest there, but the color scheme, the look of them is really eye-catching. What made you land on racing as your kind of inspiration for making these bulls?
Sure. Well, I've always had a lot of respect for Formula One, because when we look at Formula One, a lot of the stuff they do is not always about racing. They've developed a lot of things for outside of their industry, if you like, for the car industry. So obviously they're ahead, and I love the way that they have that passion to be the best at everything they do within that industry. But one of the other big pulls was I have a real thing about the bowls, how they were. We had the situation where we have potentially like a thistle or a bulldog or a daffodil or a butterfly as a little logo, which, you know, everyone has a choice, and that could be their passion. And if that's their passion, they're going to have a butterfly or an elephant or whatever they're going to have on their bowl. But what I thought was, first of all, that does have a problem when they come to sell them, because we don't keep our bowls potentially now for that 10 years and then get them stamped and keep them for another 10 years, stamped and 10 years again. The young guys especially, if something's new, they sometimes want to change their bowls and they trade them in. I think sometimes you've got butterflies and other animals and plants, you are limiting the market where that can go. So that was my first thought, was the resale value of bowls going forward for the client. I think everyone has a lucky number to agree. They've got a birth date, they've got an anniversary, they've got a house number they live. So that a number is something that people can identify. So it's still personal. But for me, for example, my lucky number is 7. So if it had 7 on it, I'd want to buy it anyway. But if I was looking at the second-hand market, it had 43 on it or 52. That wouldn't, because it adds up to 7. To me, this wouldn't be a problem. I could always make 7 work in there, or another number, my birth date, which is 16, which again is 1, 6, and 7. That's good. But it was something. I think people like to have something personal, but I didn't want it to ruin the market in the second-hand market either. If you look at sports, other sports, people aspire to having a number on the back of the shirt. You know, I'm a big Green Bay fan. I bought a Green Bay top. It was going to have number 12 on the back because Aaron Rodgers. There's no other way it's going to be any different. In the UK, we have, you know, football's massive, and they have numbers on the back of the shirt. So people like to have numbers and special numbers to them. So that's why we went with that. I liked the idea. It was very clean looking sport. The lines, the colours, the vibrancy, the energy that it provided. So that was another reason. And if you look at our bowls going forward, we're not putting in the speckles into the bowls, the colour bowls that we're working on. We're going to keep them very clean as well. So a red is a red. So it hasn't got any other colours in it. So we treat that as the bodywork, if you like, of a car. And of course, the terminology used in bowls, driving, you know, friction, pace, turn, it had some sort of resemblance to a sport of motor racing. So there was lots of little things in there. But the most important thing, I guess, was looking as well as to create a brand that had its own identity, and it did stand out by itself. And I still was concerned about the second-hand market, because I think it's important that people make an investment, that they don't lose all that money by having something that people don't want in the future on their bowl.
That's actually, I didn't even think about all the comparisons in the drives and turn and everything like that and how it relates to a car. So that's actually a cool sort of, I guess I didn't even put that together, but it actually makes tons of sense. I guess if we're going into the actual models you guys have, so on your website you have 2 different biases of bulls. It looks like it's torque and racing line. Yes, that's right. So again, torque is kind of I find those just cool names for biases of bulls. For getting more specifically into the biases, they're made by Taylor. You have the partnership with Taylor. Is the bias of the bulls their own unique bias, or are they like kind of based off like a Taylor Ace type of thing, or are they their own separate type of bulls? Yeah, they are their own separate trajectories. So Taylors don't have a trajectory that bias have. So they are different. However, you know, I wasn't a fool here again, because we've got to look at Taylor's 1796. They know what they're doing. So obviously the trajectories they have worked. They've probably adapted them over the years, and they've got trajectories that work.
So what I wanted to do was look at what are their most popular models. I didn't want to have something out there that was going to stay out there and wide and not come, or something dead straight, which is going to be quite dull. So I looked at their models and worked on those. So then I took two of their best selling models. So we then come inside it or went outside it, but not by a huge amount. So if we look at the Taylor Ace, that's very similar to our Torque, and the VS is more in line with our racing line. But we are outside the VS and just inside the Ace.
Okay, so just outside.
I think you have different models potentially, do you, in Canada? Or do you have the Vectors and...
Yeah, like the Vector and the Ace are the two most common ones.
Yeah. I know I look at other countries, they're different names, aren't they, in different countries? They have different names for different bowls.
Yeah, like we also see the Lignoid, International, because we're a little on the slower side, probably than what maybe gets.
That's wide. That's wide. The International is certainly wide.
Yeah.
Because you're on grass. That's correct, isn't it? You're on grass all the time?
Most of the time. There are some artificial greens here.
I don't know what I'd do myself in the winter, because even I go back indoors to carry on, because I'd miss it too much. But I don't know what you guys do. Climb the walls, I should think, trying to find a piece of grass, artificial grass somewhere.
It's true. It's always a challenge. We mimic the UK quite a bit outside of the indoor. Obviously, in the UK, you've got indoor clubs that are scattered throughout the country, or the continent, I should say. And in Canada, we have one really, what I would say is a legitimate indoor, like full length rinks. Mm-hmm. Everything else is kind of makeshift. It's okay, we'll get
short mat.
Yeah, we'll get what we can, and we'll make do with what we can, and hopefully it works out, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So I have a couple images of the bowls that I'm gonna throw up, but while I'm throwing up those images, can you tell me, with starting your own bowls company, what was one or two of the biggest challenges that you had? Okay.
If we take away business, the hardest thing, first of all, we had was COVID. At this time, we'd have to, hopefully move that to the side one day, and that will be not so intrusive to business, because we actually started 2 years ago, and of course we've just worked through the pandemic, which has been horrendous. The factory in Scotland closed. People from England couldn't visit Scotland at one time. We've had a lot of problems with COVID. So I think we take that aside, because that was everywhere for everyone. But starting up a new business in COVID added just an extra dimension of problems, really. I think the hardest part really was having that relationship correct with tailors, because that could have gone so wrong within the first half hour. Very aware they're a family business. Do they want someone else coming in outside of the family to work quite closely with them? But coming from a family business myself, I think that was a plus. And I think when we looked at what we could do together, and seriously sat down and really what we could do together, it was, this can work. But I think that was the hardest part, was getting across the message to the guys at Taylor's. Is this something we can work on? Once we had that in place, everything was plain sailing. Taylors have been fantastic in supplying all the samples, because don't get me wrong, we didn't get it right first time. We've had samples and we thought, no, this doesn't look right. We had the paint running through on the on the very edge at one time, is over the grip, which I thought looked fantastic. It looked horrendous, because I thought we could leave the black part in the middle with like a tyre. It didn't. It just looked like a botched paint job. So that went in the bin. We then put on, little things that went wrong at the start. We painted it, and then we lacquered it, and it needed more lacquer, because you can fire and fire and fire at them with one lacquer on. There's no damage to the paintwork. But go outside and pick up a bit of grit, you could get marks. But now we've got the double lacquer, that's been eradicated, so that was good. So really the hardest part really was, I think, cementing that relationship, and now it's fantastic. And we can first of all you email someone, don't you, but now we can ring each other on our mobiles any time of the day, and it's we're working very closely together now. and looking forward to grow. I think I was probably a bit too much for Grant at first. I was a bit too very enthusiastic. Come on, let's do this. And Grant's going, whoa, slow down. But I think we've now got to a level where we're working at the same pace, which is exciting because now we have got some new things coming on board. As you know, we've got the four colours we have now, but we have got some very exciting things coming through, and I'll actually have them next week. So we're a week early for seeing them, but I'm sure we can catch up again and we can show you the new colours, because we've got 8 new versions coming out.
Wow.
And of those 8 new versions, 4 are still with the black bowl, but different paintwork. But we have got 4 full coloured bowls coming out. So
nice. That's
very, very interesting. And I can't wait to get them in my hands next week and start playing with them. We've had to listen to the marketplace, really, guys. What's happened is some people have appreciated the paintwork. They love that. But that comes with a slight cost, because there's a lot of man hours go into that, because a lot of masking has to happen. Sprayed, taken off, sprayed, because a lot of colour goes onto one side. So we're bringing out some new colours that go on the side of the black bowl, but they won't be that amount of work go into it. So it'll be one colour. So we're bringing out, I'm sure you like Lamborghini. Everyone loves a Lamborghini. We've got 3 Lamborghini colours coming out. And we've also got the old JPS black and gold car. We've got the gold going on to the side. So that's quite retro looking. So that'd be good. But obviously some people still want to move on and they want to look at coloured bowls. So we've had to look at that marketplace as well. But we've done it in a sort of, keeping sort of as close to the brand as we can. And it looks fantastic.
So I guess kind of leads into a couple of the questions I had. So the actual paint that's on the bowl, so is that a decal or is it actual like hand painted design that's on the side of the bowl?
Yeah, it's hand painted, Michael. In fact, the paintwork is so good. Some people think, they say, well, I'm not sure, how did you get a sticker on that big? And I said, no, it's not a sticker. This is paint, and it's done painted individually, each part, each panel. And they can't believe it. It does look fantastic, but it is hand painted. Yeah. Okay. And then hand painted, and then, as I said, mask, paint, and then when we finish, varnish or lacquer, and then we have to do the lacquer again, just to make sure that's as good. It should be as good as car paint work is where it comes from. It is actually car paint that's used as well.
Okay, and that kind of leads, I guess, towards the other part of my question that I had was, I guess, the feedback you've gotten from people. You sort of alluded to it earlier that people were talking, they wanted color bowls, that sort of aspect of kind of just developing the brand. So what sort of feedback have you gotten from people that are using the bowls thus far?
Sure. The feedback's been absolutely fantastic. The great thing is they're now all over the UK in various parts. We actually had a set that went out to Spain the other day, which was lovely. So that's good. And maybe one day they'll be heading your way to Canada, which will be even better. But as I think you guys know, whatever industry you're in, if you had 4 options, there people want a 5th. If you had 100 options, someone want 101. So we've had to listen to everything, and of course, everyone wants something different that you haven't got. But we listened to most of it, and most of it was, is good feedback. The most important thing was we had to make sure we had a footing in the marketplace. Was it going to be accepted? And we now know it has been, so we can invest further and develop the brand further with new colours. Because the black ones we done first of all was because, as you understand, with manufacturing, we have to make so many castings, so many sets per factory run. We can't just make a set and then start again and make another set in size 2 and then everything's set up to do a proper run of bowls. So by doing a whole run of black bowls, we had the run done, but we could then divide those black bowls into 4 colours. So that gave us the capacity to have, more colours straight away. Rather than going for a coloured bowl, we'd have to choose one colour and then maybe another colour. But this way we're quicker to market, really, with that way of going about it.
I have to say, the general sentiment that I see out in bowls is, black bowls not great, color bowls great, speckles, striped colors, everything that you can imagine in it. It was actually really refreshing to see not only a black bowl, but one that just looked really good. I can't emphasize it enough. The paint job on it with it seems so simple. It's just a couple colors, but it's really well done. Looks great. Is really contrasting to the black, and I'm really interested to actually see some of these in person. So hopefully we get some of those in Canada, because the pictures look fantastic. Anyway.
Yeah. No, thank you, Darryl. I appreciate that.
So I guess just throw it out to you. You've talked about some of the stuff that you've done, but is there anything else that you have in the future?
Yes, absolutely.
Anything you can show us?
Yeah, well, I can't show you. I can certainly talk about it. So obviously, the bowls that are coming out, I actually have sent Michael some just some PDF files of what's coming out and the colours and what we're doing with the black bowl. Going back to the black bowl, it's interesting because if I was thinking this the other day, if white bowls were the traditional colour of bowls and we brought out a black bowl, can you imagine how the demand for it would be huge, wouldn't it? Yeah. It's because it's black, it's old, and one day that will become the colour to have again, no doubt. Even that will be a colour, just not accepted as a colour at the moment. But yeah, going further forward, we've obviously brought out a shirt which I can slightly stand up for and show you our shirt.
There it is.
Very nice.
We've got a bead collar, which is slightly different, slightly more modern, zip front rather than a button, which makes it totally unisex because we haven't got the buttons going one way this way, so it works. Fully sublimated. This has gone down really, really well. Obviously, the guys that work for us had the shirts and they've gone out, and then people have been ringing up saying, "Oh, can I get one? Can I get one?" So we might not have ordered enough of them, which is a good thing. But we're going to bring out further designs. We just wanted to try the manufacturer, because my background was sourcing products away from bowls, so that's my part really as well. So we just wanted to test a few manufacturers out, so that's good. And obviously we'll move on then to bags, shorts, shoes, and all the things that we love to have. First of all, we look at straight away. I won't be getting involved with the sundry parts, the chalks and tapes, and I shouldn't think that'd be something. But I'm more looking at the things that I think we can improve on, i.e. the shirts. I think we can improve on the shorts. I think we can improve on certain parts of that what we wear. It has got a few people that don't like change. I understand that, but I won't go there because I get myself in trouble. But I think gradually, if we stand still, obviously we're going backwards. So we have to sort of move it on a little bit. And it's quite amazing. You think some people are not ready for change. You think it's going to be the older guys. It's not always the older guys. I've got some older guys that play for me. I've got one fella who's in his 80s and he just got one of these shirts. He thinks it's great. So it's not always about that. It's the perception of change. Sometimes it's not always the age. So we're going further forward with all those products. Obviously, the most important thing to get right, first of all, was the bowl. If the bowl didn't work, it's no good having all the other parts that we have coming forward, but that is on its way. We're also setting up some demo centres throughout the UK because, we can talk about it being close to this trajectory and close to this, but they still want to get the ball in the hand. So we're selecting clubs, indoor clubs and outdoor clubs throughout the UK, where we will put them on our website and go, look, you can go to this bowls club. They have a full set of our bowls. They have the different colours, they have the different sizes, they have the different trajectories, and then they can order it through the clubs. And we also then do a feedback commission to the clubs as a thank you for holding one of our demo sites. So we hope to create more footfall for the club. We then hope to give him some revenue for the club. So we have a win-win situation. So that's good. But we do need to, we've got people signed up already ready to go, but we need to fill in a few counties, and so we've got the whole UK covered. We're doing some fantastic work with a company down in Dorset, which is Dorset Youth Academy. We've done a 3-year sponsorship deal for them. This is not just giving them money. We wanted to see where our money was going. This was going into coaching the young kids. We went down there. There was, I think the rink was 9 or 10 rinks in one hall. They had some ex-international coaches down there, and these kids were quite tiny, and they were quite intense courses. I haven't seen it with all the cones out. It was a bit more than just a roll-up. They were teaching them all the different aspects of drawing, controlled shots, firing shots, the whole thing, and reading ahead. And they needed money. They need to keep, they have to hire this hall. They have to, the coaches need expenses to get there potentially. So we put money in there for 3 years for those guys. They haven't been, as a county, very successful at the national level yet, but we're going to give it a bit of a push, and hopefully we can get them through to Leamington, which is our national arena for the outside. And we think they're going to do well in the next couple of years. We've got some very promising players coming through at a very young age. Then we look to hopefully take them on part of the bias. They become a bias driver. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, you just alluded to sort of where I was going to go with that. So
sorry, Michael.
Definitely, like, you're talking about the full expansion of the company and sort of working through everything. And then previous to the show, we talked about it. So I guess the drivers, as you refer to them, so sticking with that race car mentality, instead of calling a player for your company or whatever you want to call it, you guys call them drivers. So I guess sort of the rationale or sort of background to that, and then I guess which drivers do you guys currently have for your line?
Well, it was very important to not panic and just find someone that looks quite young to say, oh, you can play for us. That wasn't about that. It was, we wanted successful people because people aspired to successful people. We wanted someone who was fairly young, not because of ageism or anything. We just wanted them to be on something we could work with for a decade or 2 decades. That was what I thought would be nice. And more importantly, if someone I wanted to be able to ring up and talk to them about bowls and ask them, where are we going with this? What's your aspirations? Can we help you? And if there was someone that was potentially using another brand of bowls, I said to them, you're more than welcome. I'd love you to become one of our drivers, but the most important thing is this going to improve your game? If it's not going to improve your game, I'm going to advise you to walk away and stay with whatever brand you're with and wish you luck, because, as a brand, it's important that we really drive the future of bowls and not drive the future of bias. By driving the future of bowls, bias will come behind it anyway. It's a natural progression. So we have spoke to a few people, and I've actually said, no, it really shouldn't be doing it. No, don't look at the shiny new bowls. Walk away. And if you ever change and you're not working out, come back and talk to me another time. So the guys we have at the moment is a guy called Ed Morris, superb player, 8 national titles, Bowls England Bowler of the Year twice, 39 county titles. Fantastic. We can't believe, and there's no sour grapes, but we can't believe he didn't get into the Commonwealth teams this year. He missed out, obviously, by 1 place.
So if you watched our last show, I made a point to we reviewed the England selection, and I was the one dissenter there where I was pretty shocked that I didn't make it.
Well, I think a lot of people were shocked because he has the most successful record at Leamington, probably. But he really has got a superb record. If the Commonwealth Games was in Australia, I could understand it because faster greens maybe not have suited Ed as much. He would cope. He would still cope. I'd still back him to go out there. But at Leamington, I thought he was that was the man to put down 1 or 2 really. Obviously, it's a great squad. It's a great squad. It's not easy to pick a side. It's when you know Ed so well and how passionate, how much effort he puts in, it was just a bit of a shock. But we have Ed, and the good thing is we're still going to, obviously we're right behind him, and we're going to move forward and let's go and win that national title again this year. That's what his aim will be. Ed's not a quitter. He was very disappointed, but he's not a quitter. So we back him all the way for the future. We have he's our ambassador for the men's, and for the ambassador for the ladies, we have a lady called Devon Cooper. I don't know if you Devon. She's more an indoor bowler. But she's playing outside, and I think she's going to develop more outside than she is indoors at the moment. Under 25 national singles, under 25 national pairs. She was at a World Championship at Potters. She got to the semi-final at Potters a few years ago, and she's very young. very dedicated, lovely family. And this is what I'm talking about. It's not just Devon, it's the family. So on our biased night out dinner at Leamington, her mum comes. So we invite her mum along, and it's all part of the family. So she's on board. Harry Goodwin, again, these players that play for England at under 25 level. He's just won the under 25 nationals back at Spalding last month, so he's on board. And Glenn Adams, Bowls England Junior Bowler of the Year. So these are great guys, young and Devon, great team. And the first year we was at Leamington, it was just the two of us having dinner, and hopefully this year there'll be six of us. So just at least, and we have got a few others we're talking to in the pipeline, but we've got to go and speak to them and try some bowls out and see if it works for them. But that's what we're looking to do, is create this young team of drivers, if you like, and create really something to be proud of as a team, because there's nothing better than a team. You can be very isolated in whatever you do in business, but having a team, whether it's just the guys at Taylor's I can talk to, or the bowlers, or the drivers as I call them now, it's just nice to pick up the phone and talk to them when you're having a bad day and you don't know what to do. What's the best way forward? I talk to these guys. I don't always talk to Taylor's about research and development. I can talk to the guys and they'll go, well, this is what we need, Paul. And of course the young guys tell you what they need. They're not shy in coming forward, so they've got some great ideas. And obviously I know that Taylor's can back it up with what they do.
That's awesome. It sounds like you've got a great team. I like how you're just talking about having good quality people, people that'll back your brand very well, and having it sounds like you're passionate about the people that are in it. Knowing that much about every player and what they've done definitely shows that for sure.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to go on board. So if they've got a competition, as long as I'm not going to get in trouble, I will be there. So I say to my partner, sorry, I'm off again, but she's great. She supports me all the way. So as long as that carries on, we'll carry on as well with that. So yes, we'd like to support those guys. If it's a very small competition, it's not a problem. We'll still be there to support them.
So I just have one more question. With the Commonwealth Games coming to England, being at Leamington Spa, do you have anything planned around that you wanted to promote now?
With Leamington, it's very difficult to work out who actually is running Leamington, because you talk to Bowls England, you talk to Leamington, you talk, and you don't, and then sometimes they've got an outside marketing company taking over the event for the, you think, wow. The one thing we did do was there was some YouTube footage this year. We had some cameras there, and we actually had some footage, which was great. It was well received by people who couldn't actually get to Leamington. I think they're missing the chance there really to develop the sport and have better coverage there, because it's the way forward. All the people want to watch it. It's the same with Potters. It was on the TV, but later on in the TV, but they had YouTube coverage earlier on, and that was supported quite well. But I think they're frightened to ask for sponsorship money. I don't know what it is. In my opinion, that could be well covered. If anyone came up to me and said, Paul, we're going to Leamington, no one's ever asked me, can you put some money into the national championships? No, because there's nothing there to actually sponsor, because it's all done. I would have thought they would have covered that and then paid for it through sponsorship through podcasts, and it just seemed the obvious way forward. But again, it's something I'm in the industry now, but I'm very new, so I can't really, perhaps have that influence. But this is what I'm saying. Ideally, in a few years' time, as brand builds, perhaps it's something we can have more input on and give them advice on what we think could work for the future.
Nice.
Be nice to see you guys there covering it. I'm sure you could do it.
That's a goal down the line. We definitely want to. That's our hopeful thing this year is we're going to hopefully get some streaming of some events our local area here, because we do have the capacity. We've invested some of our money in streaming equipment, so hopefully once the year's normal, fingers crossed, that we'd be able to get out there and do some streaming of our own.
And there's some very, very, very good commentators you can get. Ed Morris done a session at Leamington last year, and he went down very, very well. You know, you talk about top players commentating on the game. It's important to get that. You can't have anyone just go and comment on a game. You have to have the right people, don't you? I mean, you guys obviously a high level of bowls as well, but there are people who are willing to do this. They're not even charging. They just want to be involved. They're so enthusiastic that they're happy to come and help you out doing the commentary. And I think that's the way forward, really, because we look at other sports that have really moved on. It's unfortunately the evil of money is what stops it. If we create more money through sponsorships, advertising, that's what's going to put potentially prize money up in events as well. And it just helps the whole thing if we can get some money generated into the sport.
Well, I guess that was all the questions I had. Did you have any other ones you wanted to ask, Darryl?
No, I think that's great. Great history on, obviously, your new company. So not a ton of history, but great information. Got to show some images of the bowls, which look fantastic. And Paul, it was a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Darryl.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Paul. I look forward to placing my order soon and getting one of those sets to Canada so that we can say that the bias bowls are rolling in a different continent for you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael. Lovely meeting you guys.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.